All right, let's review what we've talked about so far. So we're adding graphic design to our web pages, and we're doing that mostly with CSS. We did add some HTML, but most of these properties are CSS. So the first thing that we learned about was adding a background image, and that you supply a URL that identifies which image file you're going to use, and it puts that image in the background of the element. And it fills it up by tiling the image, so you see a repeated version of the image over and over again. Background attachment lets you choose whether the background stays still when you scroll or if it scrolls with it. So it identifies what happens to the background image when you scroll. Background position identifies where the image is located, the background image. This is really visible when you use no repeat, so it's only one image. But it also identifies where the initial position is, and then it'll tile out from all the directions from where you positioned the first one. Background size. Here you can say how big you want the background image to be. Background repeat. So do you want it to repeat? Do you want it to repeat in the X direction? Do you want it to repeat in the Y direction, or to not repeat at all? Background clip. Now this talks about the content box, padding box, border box. Where do you want the background to be behind? So do you want it to fill up the content box? Do you want it to fill up the padding box? Do you want it to fill up the border box? So that gives you the idea of where the background will extend to. The background origin, so when you position the image, do you want that to be positioned? Did you want the origin of that image to be, again, in the content box, padding box, or border box? Now you can combine the background property, and so here we have a background image, we have a background position, background size, the repeat, and the origin. So we can set multiple properties using the combined background property. And if you want to do multiple backgrounds, so this is on the same element, right? That you can put multiple backgrounds. When you do that, you use the background property, and then you put a comma between each different background that you're adding. And if you want to have a background color, which is advisable to identify a background color, then you add that as the last background. And notice that this is just another background. Remember, this is the combined background properties. So the only property we've added in this one is the color. Then we learned about borders. And so we did the backgrounds, then we did borders, and borders put edges around elements. And there's three properties: the width, the color, and the style. There's more than that, but we started with three: width, color, and style. And each of these allow you to have a single property. For example, we have border color. We've identified one color. That means that color will be on all four sides. It'll be the same. Or you can put four colors, and that identifies a different value for each side. And you can do that with color or style or width. And here we've got four values for width. That means the top will be 4 pixels wide, the right will be 6 pixels, the bottom will be 12 pixels, and the left will be 8 pixels. And if we just wanted the width to be the same on all four sides, we would only put one value, and it would make it the same on all four sides. You can do it with 2, and then the first one does the top and bottom, and the second one does the left and right. Anyway, you have lots of flexibility there, kind of like we do with padding and margin. So about that same process. You can also identify sides by using right, bottom, top, and left in here. So border right width, border bottom color. Now you're only adding a single value because you're specifying a single side by using the right, bottom, left, or top. Border style is none by default. This is kind of a warning. By default, border style is set to none. That means it doesn't display. So the border just doesn't display unless you set the style. Where this gets frustrating is when you add width and color and an image and nothing's showing up. Why isn't anything showing up? Because border style is set to none. So be sure to set the border style or it won't show up. So asterisk, be careful. Always set the border style when you want to see a border. There's the combined border property that allows you to set the width, the style and the color all in one property. And you can do it on each individual side as well. Border left, border right, border top, and border bottom. Then we can curve it. Now, border radius is a separate property. It's not part of the combined property. This allows us to round the corners of the borders. Border image means that we can use an image for the borders, right? And we need to set the style. We knew that already, right? We knew we need to set the style, but we also set the width. So that identifies how big the border will be, but now the border will be made out of an image. So the border image property has a URL, so it knows which image it's using, and then it identifies a number for a slice. That's the number of pixels, or if you put a percent sign, then it'll be a percentage. And then you get to identify the repeat value. So does it tile it or does it stretch it? So how does it repeat? And whenever you do a border image, it slices it into 9 parts. 4 corners, there's 4 corners, 4 sides, and the middle. And the middle by default is transparent, so it won't show at all. And then it places those corners and sides based on what you identify the image. So the 4 corners, each corner goes in the corner of the border, and then the sides are either repeated if they're tiled, or they're stretched to make the sides of the borders. And there we learned lots of fun things that we can do with backgrounds and borders.